But anyway, let's go through today's lectures, and if there's any question, I will give chance for you all to ask the question. Of course, under the course unit, Introduction to Business Administration, we are on module 4, which is Introduction to Management and Leadership. So, just to understand what is management. Of course, we know management is a process of controlling, organizing, leading, and controlling resources effectively to achieve organizational goal. And leadership is the ability to influence, inspire, and guide individual or teams toward achieving a vision or goal. And then the major key differences between management and leadership is that managers focus on the process and efficient, while leaders focus on the inspiration and vision. So we need to understand what are those functions of management. We have majorly 4 functions of management, which is number 1 is planning. Of course, planning is sitting down, setting an objective and determining the action, looking at the strategy, how to do it. And we have type of planning like strategic planning, we have tactical planning and operational planning. So with time in these lectures, we are going to understand what is tactical planning, what is operational planning, because we are going to go deeper into planning. And then when you want to do proper planning, of course, you have to define goals, you have to analyze situation, develop strategy, and also implement and monitor your planning. This will ensure you make a proper planning, either it is strategic planning, tactical planning, or operational planning. We talk about another function, which is organizing. Organizing means allocating resources and structuring tasks. This includes departmentalization, it includes hierarchy, and it also includes delegations. So this will look into organizational structure, we'll look at the functional, we'll look at divisions and metric. Then another function is leading. As we all learned about leading or leadership is about influencing and guiding individuals and teams to achieve a common goal. So we can, for leading, you need to have basic skills like communication skills, motivational skills, and also you have to have vision as a leader. And then we can talk about controlling, which is monitoring of performance and also making correction. So type of controlling, we have preventive, we have concurrent, we have corrective controlling. So you can provide, like you want something, like let me give an example. There's water flowing outside the farm. You're trying to control the water to prevent the wastes of water to enter inside the farm. Example, in an organization, when you talk about preventive controlling, there are some expenditure which you feel does not actually move you closer to achieve organizational goal. You control, you prevent the employees, you prevent people from putting in a lot of resources. And then, of course, the step in setting this, you need to set your standard, you need to measure performance, compare, and also take action. Now, in all this, we talked about leadership. So what are the styles of leadership? We talk about autocratic leadership style, which is more of a dictatorial one. So whereby the leaders make decision without input from others. Just it comes like today, we need to allocate 50% of our resources to support in the operation department. But now, did you consult with your team member? No, he has not consulted. He is a dictator. He's the only one making decisions. This is normally happening with top management, whereby other voices are not taken into consideration. And then we have democratic leaders, style of leadership. This is just from the way it's sounding. This style is whereby the team members are encouraged in participation in decision making. There's nothing which a leader will come and give a dictatorial decision on something which was not discussed. So in this kind of leadership, you say we want to sell some of the chairs out, or we want to shift from producing water to producing soda. So you give the idea to your team, and then your team will come up with that decision. Yeah, it's a good decision. It's not a good decision. Whoever have a very good point, a very constructive point, will always have the decision taken from their side. And then we have another style of leadership which is laissez-faire. This is like Malu, like a leader who always think can just happen. He has minimum leadership interfering to the teams, like the team can decide on what they want to do independently without consulting from the top management. Is okay. You just move ahead. Then we have transformational leadership and transactional leadership. Transformation, we talk about inspiring change and innovation. But transactional, we focus about a leadership style which deal with mostly rewards and structure. When you do something good, you're rewarded. This is how it happens. Now, what about the decision-making approaches that we have? We have some few common decision-making approaches that we have. We have rational decision-making models, which is logic and structures process. And then we have intuitive decision-making, which is based on instinct and experience. In this, it is based on someone's experience and his own thinking, instinct, like something coming inside him. Maybe, let me give an example. You want to go to Lake State, for example, during wet season, but somebody can just say, no, there's no way. Wet season, the road will be very bad. Last year, we had an experience of going during wet season, but we were unable to reach because of bad roads condition during that time. So you see, he already have an experience on not going to Rumbek from Juba on road using during the wet season. We have what we call participative decision making. This is whereby teams involvement and consensus building. This is more like democratic leadership, but this is about decision making, whereby the teams will be involved in terms of making decision, because the team gives something which can affect them, which they've worked on it, and which can work. And this will actually be taken into consideration when somebody gives a very, very valid point of views. And then we have factor influencing decision. This is just self-explanatory. You talk about the risk time. Of course, when you are in a dangerous time, you can make some decision in that can favor you in that time. We have risks like time constraint. We have risks like availability of information. Example, we have lecture now, and you are still thinking whether to have data or not. So the time, the factor of having lecture now will influence you to buy airtime right away because there's no time. And then let's give an example on cholera. So maybe not even cholera, you're sick. So you want to go to work, but you can make decision of not going to work because you're not feeling well. So those are some kind of decision that you can make it. So after learning about the decision-making process, we need to talk about motivation. We need to talk about the motivational theory. In motivational theory, I will discuss about three theories today. The first theory that we are going to discuss is about the Maslow hierarchy theory of needs. So, in this theory, we talk about, all right, in this motivational theory, this was developed by Abraham Maslow in the year 1943, which suggests that humans have a set of needs that are arranged into the hierarchical order or into hierarchy. So the theory is often deflated as a pyramid with 5 levels representing different types of needs. And this start right away from the physiological needs, which is basically the basic needs, which is the first level. In basic need, we talk about for somebody to really survive, for somebody to be motivated, we talk about him having access to the basic need, which is water, shelter. We talk about food, we talk about air, and the rest. Then, when you have that physiological needs, now you move into the needs of safety and security. So, this include physical security, it include financial security and health. You need to be healthy. And then once you have that, then you need to have love and belonging. You need to be loved, and also you need to belong into a group, into a social connection, and the rest. In this level, it involves emotional relationships such as friendship. You talk about family. You talk about romantic connections. This emphasized the needs for social interaction and acceptance in the community. Then after having that, you need to have about esteem needs, which involves self-respect. It involves recognition from others and also sense of accomplishment. Then it also talk about the last, which is self-actualization. This is the highest level where individual seeks personal growth, fulfillment, and recognizing the full potential. It involves creativity, problem solving, and also pursuing meaningful goals. This involves the goals of you having car, the goals of you flying, and the rest. This is how Maslow hierarchy of needs look like. So in summary, we talk about the physiological needs, which involve water, it involve food, rest. We talk about the safety, it involves security. We talk about the belongingness and love. We talk about the esteem, and then the last one is self-actualization. Actually, the first one is talking about basic need, physiological needs, and also self-fulfillment needs. Believing in oneself is an important part of journey towards self-actualization, but isn't the entire of it, because while we talk about self-confidence and self-belief are actually growth achieving toward personal goals. So self-actualization is a broad aspect that involves fully realizations. It's not all about believing, but you have already realized that potentials of becoming the best version of you. This include actually self-awareness, this include personal growth and the rest of the thing. So it is a process of becoming a self-actualization. The second theory, we are actually very lucky to learn all the theories, because in other lectures, you only learn one theory, then you give it another theory for you to go and talk about it. Another theory, we talk about the Hubbard's two-factor theory, which is known as motivation hygiene theory. These are the same theories. It was actually proposed by somebody called Frederick Hubbard in the year 1959. So the theory suggests that job satisfaction and dissatisfaction are influenced by two distinct sets of factors, which is number one, we can talk about the motivators. And motivators, you can talk about satisfiers. These factors are related into nature of work and its instinct on job. They lead to higher level of motivation and also job satisfaction. While these factors are present, employers feel more engaged, accomplished, and fulfilled. So these include, you can talk about achievement, you can talk about recognition, you can talk about work itself, you can talk about responsibilities, you can talk about opportunity to growth, you can talk about personal development. And then the other factor, which is called the hygiene factor, which is more of dissatisfier. So you can talk about these factors are extreme to the job that relate to work environment. They do not have necessarily motivate employer, but their absence can lead to dissatisfactions in terms of working. The hygiene factors focus mostly on preventing dissatisfaction and creating a stable work environment. This includes, we talk about salary, we talk about job security, we talk about working condition, we talk about company policies, we talk about interpersonal relationship at work. We can go and talk about supervision and the rest of the thing. Now, let's look at this one by one here. The motivating factors include achievement. Once you're working and you're achieving, of course, you feel so good at work. Example, you are not achieving anything in your working place, you feel so demotivated. And then you talk about recognition. Every day you do good things, but your line supervisor does not even tell you that, well done, Mr. Santino, well done, Mr. Joseph, well done, Mr. Charles. So you feel you are really demotivated at work. And then the nature of work itself. So sometimes you will feel motivated. May that person at least mute because we are recording this session. Okay, thank you. Yeah, sometimes you feel so demotivated. This is because of the nature of job that you are doing. And also you can talk about opportunity for job advancement. So if you are in a job, this time you are an officer, next time you are advancing to a managerial position, you feel so motivated and you look into the factors of growth opportunity. This look into a working environment that give you opportunity to continue growing, continue studying, continue professionally developing upright so that you will be ready to meet what will come on your way. But on the side of the hygiene factor, and with hygiene factor, we talk about the factor that actually do not necessarily motivate employer, but their absence can lead to dissatisfaction. Now, you're working in an environment whereby your relationship with the people within the working environment is very poor. So this will lead to what? Dissatisfaction. And then you talk about the company policy. Some company policy are really like they're unfavorable for you to work, for you to develop, for you to be more innovative, for you to be creative. So this also will motivate you from work. But this factor, if they are good, of course, if they have good company policy, of course, your motivation level will rise. He also said that the physical workplace matters a lot because if the working place is very toxic with a lot of organizational politics, workplace politics, so bad politics will always make you not enjoy the working condition. And then you talk about salary. If the salary is small, of course you'll be demotivated. But if the salary is reasonable, which can meet your basic need, of course you are motivated. You can go and go and go and go up to security. You can talk about the status. You can talk about the supervision. These are suggestion. These are the theory that talks about motivation at working place. However, he said the hygiene factor do not only improve job satisfaction when increased, instead they prevent dissatisfaction. On the other hand, the motivators lead to higher satisfaction and greater motivation when they are present. So these are the motivation theories that we are learning today. And the third theory is from McGorry. It's a very difficult name. McGorry X and theory X and theory Y. But before we go there, is there anyone who has question in the motivational theory by the two-factor theory? Okay, we can go ahead. Now, the McGorry's theory X and theory Y are two contrasting approaches to management motivation proposed by Douglas McGorry in his book of 1960s. So the book's entitled The Human Side of Enterprise. The book described the theory of two different sets of assumptions managers might have. been practicing. We talk about the attitude, and we talk about the behaviors, and we talk about the influencing, how they can manage them. Now, in theory X, the theory assumes that the employer are really, the employees are really lazy, they dislike work, and they will avoid responsibility wherever possible. And according to this view also, the employer needs to be closely, the employees need to be closely supervised, micromanaged, and controlled to perform their tasks. While managers believe that theory X tend to use an authoritative approach which relies strictly on rules, punishment, and rewards to get work. It's a very serious one. And also, in further assumption, which we are going to look into, we look into theory Y, which talk about actually the opposite. It proposes that the employers are self-motivated. This is what we call in-stream motivation, just from your heart. Enjoy work, seek responsibilities, and managers use participative approach and also empowering approach. So if you look at this carefully, somebody will look at the attitude. These people need to be taken in this way, and the workers need to be taken in this way. Now, let's continue and see. From this, talked about in theory X, we talk about the employers will avoid work. The employer must be controlled by the employee, and also they will look at any means possible to ensure that they avoid responsibilities. You assign responsibility today, say, I'm not feeling well, I'm not coming for work. And in Y theory, you'll see that work is natural. You cannot avoid work. Actually, they feel good when they are working. They are self-motivated. They are not, they are not controlled, but they are self-directed. They are motivated to do work. They seek for responsibility. There's no work today, create work, create work to do. So this is how this can work. But now, how can you really apply this before we go to effective communication? In theory X, it tends to be associated with more traditional type of management, whereby your manager micromanage you, show you every day to do work, push you to do work. But in theory Y, it aligns with more of modern employer. It's just an example. Let me give an example. If you are really working online, you don't need somebody to tell you do this, do this, do this. This is kind of a theory Y, whereby the employer are self-centered, that the organizational value and empowered, and also have collective decision making. This is something that you people, after learning this, you have to see which kind of theory you are going to employ when you are a manager at your various capacity. You cannot be a manager in the organization, but you can be a manager at home. So when you assign work to your child, do you need to micromanage him, or you want to motivate him to do work? Later on, he will report to you. In the same line also, will your child wait for you to assign work, or they will seek for responsibility for them to do? This is about the theories of motivation. We have learned about 3 theories of motivation. Now, for you to motivate very well, for you to lead very well, we need to have what we call effective communications in management and leadership. What is communication? Communication is a process of exchanging information effectively within an organization. We can talk about the type of communication, which is verbal. We talk about non-verbal. We talk about written. We talk about visual communication. I hope up to this level, you know how to differentiate verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and others. But what are the barriers or what are the challenges to communication? We talk about misinterpretations. This can be sometimes you talk about like how people misinterpret Bible. By the way, honor your father and your mother. Somebody can just take it in a very different way. So this is one of the challenges in communication. Lack of clarity. Sometimes communication have been used with jargons, vulgar words. Jargons are professionals' words. If a doctor communicate now here, he might talk about some big medical terms which a social worker like me, a business person like you will not understand. But if a business person talk about his own jargons, his own professional words, a doctor might not also understand. So for you to have communication in a good way, you have to use most appropriate way to make it very clear. We talk about noise. When you're communicating and there's a lot of noise in the background, of course, the information will not pass to the final consumer in a proper manner. We talk about cultural differences. You know, this matters a lot. So in other culture, when you nod your head, which means the thing is okay. But in other culture, when you nod your head, like things are not getting well. So you need to understand the culture of somebody you're communicating with so that your communication should be in the most appropriate way. Of course, I've touched around ways to improve communication, which is active listening. We can talk about the feedback. We can talk about clear messaging, talk about use of appropriate channels. Example, you want to communicate to your grandfather in the village, but you are using a WhatsApp. A grandfather does not have a WhatsApp for you to talk to him. So you need to use an appropriate channels so that you can target that person very well. Now, of course, as a leader in the organization, you need to know how to resolve conflict. And it is very important in management. But of course, what is conflict resolution? Is the process of addressing and managing dispute constructively. We don't say there's not going to be conflict. There must be conflict in an organization. But how you manage it in a very constructive way matters a lot. What are those types of conflict? We can talk about task conflict. We can talk about relation conflict. We can talk about the process conflict and other type of conflict that you have. But what are those strategies that you use to resolve conflict? We can talk about avoiding. If you know that if you do A will lead to conflict with your brother, of course you need to ignore and stop doing it. You need to accommodate. Compromise is very, very important. You need to get a middle ground. Let me give you an example. By the way, professional, I'm a peace builder. I worked in an organization working for peace for more than 4 years. One of the strategy that we used when we are doing peace dialogue between the community, example, Buya go to Toposa and raided kettles. Now we will now go and do pre-consultation meeting to know what happened. Later on, we'll bring all these people together for the dialogue. Now, when they're coming up with a resolution, they will come up with a resolution compromising the other ground, coming up into the middle ground. So you cannot talk too much into Buea side, you cannot take too much into Toposa side, but you can look at the ground which is neutral. Example, you know Toposa, Buea land has access to Kidefo Valley. Of course, you cannot say Toposas should not take their cows to Kidefo Valley, but you said when Toposas are taking their cows to Kidefo Valley, they need to consult the leadership of Buea so that they will be given opportunity to go and graze, to go and take water at Kidefo Valley. You will see that level of compromise. Then collaboration, working together for win-win strategy. In conflict resolution, by the way, both sides need to have a ground of win-win. Of course, no one will be at the weaker side. That is what you need to know as a mediator, as a manager at working place. You need to take that into consideration. But now, taking that all in the organization, in the company, in the business places that you are going to start one day, you will have your own culture and leadership. So what is organizational culture? It's a set of a shared value, belief, and norms within an organization. Something that you believe, that an organization believes. I talked about ADRA yesterday. ADRA is an organization that is deep belief in Bible. Their foundation, they believe that it is founded by Jesus Christ when he gave out, is it how many bread? 2 breads and 3. Hey, Bible scholars, when Jesus went doing preaching, how many breads and how many fish did he feed with 5,000 people? Okay.
There's 2 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
Yeah, I thought we don't have pastors here, but we have pastors already. So this is where we can, how leadership influence culture in an organization. Because cultures, organizational culture is 90% or 100% influenced by the kind of leadership in the organization. Number one, we talk about leaders are role models. The way you perform, the way you handle something, the way you handle somebody matters a lot in an organization. So you will influence the culture. The culture of unity within the organization can be influenced through you being a role model as a leader. Reinforcing values through actions, what you do. You cannot say, I preach, don't do what I do, but do what I say. That does not come. As a leader, whatever action you do should be something which is more of integrity and value. Establishing a clear expectation. Of course, you cannot have a big expectation, but you need to have a reasonable and clear expectation on what is needed within the organization. So now we need to talk about the ethical leadership and decision making. Leading with integrity, fairness, and respect for ethical principle. But there is this keyword called integrity. So what is integrity? Integrity is something that you do, right thing that you do in absence of someone. Example, if you come at home and you get water just pouring from the tap without, just on the ground, you turning the water off, that is integrity. You are handling budget. If you steal even the money, no one will know, but you still have it in your heart that if I steal this is not fair, this is not good. That is integrity. Biblically, we can talk about the life of Joseph. When Potiphar's wife came to seduce him, he told Potiphar's wife that this is not good. This is not good. Our God does not like it. The God of my father does not like it. That is integrity. Doing something right in the absence of somebody to see you. But you feel that there's somebody who is watching you, which is God. So what are those principles of ethical leadership? We have honesty, we have transparency, we have fair treatment of employee, we have accountability and responsibility. Accountability can be financial accountability. It can be program accountability. People who are doing M&A work knows very well what is accountability in terms of programs. Which means the money which is allocated to do that program should reflect the final implementation of that program. If you put like 10,000 pounds, so that activity should look like it has been done with 10,000 pounds at the end of the day. So how do ethical decision-making framework look like? So you need to identify the issue, you need to evaluate the alternatives based on the ethical standards. You need to make decision and implement it, and also review, adjust where necessary. This can be in terms of doing monitoring, and then you may have maybe periodic evaluations on what is supposed to be done. This is what we have today. Is there any question before I conclude?